Going on YouTube, Byrdman here with another Devastator build. Today I decided to make a budget AP build for all those people that have been asking for it. Those who are like, hey, I haven't been able to get high enough in a level yet, and I'm just kind of trying to work my way through what is the best setup for me to do overall. This is what you need. Now, I do use one legendary weapon and one legendary piece of armor, especially for the fact that Tiago is so easy to access now. Get different pieces of gear. You can kind of roll different things to find what you can get, but at least I'll give you a good idea, even if you just want to do 5 purples, what you should go into. Now, before I get into the video, let you know you can find me over on twitch.tv/Byrdman778 for some super awesome Outriders streams every single day starting at noon Eastern Standard Time. Find me over here on YouTube, obviously. Give a thumbs up on the video, drop a sub, maybe even a membership. And then finally, catch me over on twitter.com/Byrdman778 for some super subpar tweets and weird monologues like this where I just won't shut up. Now, I mentioned this is a budget build, so we're going to be trying to mainly use purples for this, and nothing that is above a tier 3 unless it is on our weapon or our piece of armor. Now, for the weapons, I decided to leave them exactly as is, so we are using the Thunderbird with Ultimate Storm Whip, and it comes with Striga. I normally change this out for something else like Fortress or something like that, so if you're progressing through the game and you find yourself to have Fortress and you got rid of a Death Shield for some reason and decided to have that as the mod, you could put it on here, but also showing the fact that Striga is usable on its own as well. And I also have just a purple shotgun here. It's pretty terrible. I never even use it really in this entire setup just because the Thunderbird can do that for you. Other things that were really applicable with this as well would be something like the Inferno Seed, the Voodoo Matchmaker, a Death Shield as well, a Fatal Symbiote, even though this has the Dynamo camo on it, or a Roaring Umbra, even though this has the Hell's Ranger camo on it. But we decided to go with that because we just figured having that Ultimate Storm Whip with that constant damage that is helped boosted by AP would be probably the most applicable for the build overall. And the fact also is Striga also doing critical damage gives us health, just helps with the overall survivability of this build. When it comes to armor, we decided to go with pretty much a setup of anomaly damage, skill, life leech, close range damage, status power, and cooldown. So essentially, you just want to avoid max health, healing receive, and long range damage. Any of those other ones that I listed are totally applicable, but I think anomaly damage has to be probably one of the biggest priorities I have, followed by skill, life leech. Skill, life leech will essentially ensure that whenever you cause bleed to an enemy or attack them with your melee or a skill, you're going to get health back for that. So the better you have for that, the more healing you're essentially going to get in return. But for this piece of armor, we have anomaly, skill, life leech, and close range damage with blood shock and extra quake. Now, I picked blood shock because it would be pretty awesome to also have the long range, but being able to always make sure that we are inflicting bleed to any enemy that we're fighting essentially ensures the fact that we're going to stay alive as long as possible. Again, I mentioned the fact that skill life leech goes off status power, so anytime we bleed somebody, we are getting health back for that. So this is one I just find like an absolute must, and including also as well extra quake. Getting as many uses as earthquake as you can is just really nice. When it comes to our chest piece, we went with anomaly damage, cooldown reduction, status power with spike force. We're going to be using impale on this build as well, so getting extra uses of that is really pivotal. Also with bloody boost for the fact that we're going to do more damage to bleeding targets. Impale itself also inflicts bleed whenever you activate it, so it just makes it an even better skill for this entire setup. So for the one legendary that I picked, I chose the Seismic Commander legs, purely off the fact that it has anomaly power, status power, and cooldown reduction, so 3 of the best things that we can get shard-wise. And then finally, Tainted Blood. Being able to do 25% more damage to bleeding targets is really key for this build, making sure we're able to do as much damage as humanly possible. Now, if you didn't have these Seismic Commander legs, what was something you could do? Again, I would say go with the same shard things, but make sure you go into that sharpened spike right there so we get that extra impale, or consider also getting extra range on your earthquake. That would be another pretty decent skill to have. For the gloves, we went anomaly power, close range damage, and cooldown reduction with ground crush, making sure earthquake does more damage, and then impaler, making sure that we get extra activation of impale. And then finally on our boots, we went with anomaly power, cooldown reduction, status power with martial arts. Now, the reason why we chose martial arts is because using your melee is really key for this entire setup. Purely off the fact that one, it will inflict bleed on enemies. It will also scale based on your AP power, but also it helps with the Untamed Power mod that we're going to be using on these boots as well. Using any skill deals 49,000 damage to enemies with a 5-meter radius around you, and that's equal to 30% of your anomaly power. So higher anomaly power you have, the more this is going to do, but using your melee will activate this ability. So constant activation of like 50,000 damage just bursting around you is really key for this build, but it also helps out whenever you're using things like your Impale or your Earthquake. For these skills, we just definitely went to Earthquake and Impale, and essentially you can go back and forth between Reflect Bullets or Golem as your middle spot. Why do we do this? Well, essentially, if you pick Golem, I would say use this if you're worried about survivability. Impale, it will stay on you longer, which is pretty nice. You're just getting that constant damage resistance. But if you take this off and choose Reflect Bullets instead, this is going to help with constant activation for another skill that's going to be in our skill tree, ensuring that we have a high amount of anomaly damage all the freaking time. So when it comes to our skill tree, we decided to go into all these anomaly reservoirs across the tree, giving us about 50% extra anomaly damage the entire time that we have it active. We also went into these 2 endless tremors here and here, making sure our Impale and our Earthquake have a higher cooldown. But a big thing earlier we were talking about is Reflect Bullets and Golem. Why do we need these skills? Essentially because of this one. Paladin, using protection skills increases anomaly power by 45% for 10 seconds. So with that, it essentially boosting up our AP power. It's really kind of pivotal for like those moments where you have like a lot of people around you. You just want to kind of like destroy the entire mob or bossing scenarios. Now, Golem is going to be one where you're going to pick it and use it if you want to just have high resistance and essentially ensure your survivability, versus Reflect, where it's going to be kind of more of that leaning on your skilled life leech but getting high AP power all the time. Because activating Golem, you're stuck within this time period of being in the Golem, and then your cooldown will activate, versus Reflect, where you can turn it on and off almost immediately and get the ability back instantly. So again, risk reward to both of them, but I essentially say pick whichever one is you're most comfortable with, but definitely get Paladin. Now, with that being said, if you are going Golem, you definitely need to grab this Unending Watch right here, essentially making sure you have a faster cooldown on your Golem. If not, you can essentially take this point and add it into something like Red Rivers to increase the duration of bleed, essentially ensuring that enemies are going to constantly be life leeching, or even put it into this rejuvenation for higher skill life leech. No matter what, you have to go into this pure anomaly right here. There's absolutely no need in going perpetual motion, so definitely grab this. But we also want to get into anomaly bullets, increase firepower by 15% of your anomaly power. So we're going to be having high anomaly power, essentially pushing into our firepower, giving us just some use out of our weapons and not having to only lean on using our skills. We're going to go into the stone circle, extend the distance considered to be close range by 4 meters, which helps out our weapons, our healing, and everything like that, but also helps out through the mob. Increase your armor by 7% for each enemy in close range, essentially giving us high armor and just resistance against the enemies around us. Strong Arm of the Law is going to be another pivotal skill, just because doubling our damage of our class melee. We're going to be constantly using this, so we're just going to be getting a lot of damage from multiple sources at one time for this build. Executioner, always a big one for me. Increased damage by 20% against enemies below 30% health. Again, this is a budget build, so the more damage possible, the better for us. Just purely off the fact that we don't have things like armor set bonuses to lean on, or having the best legendaries possible. Next up, you want to go into Rejuvenation to increase your skill life leech by 6%. Depending on what you have on your armor, in the shard category, you might get around 10% skill life leech, but this is one that no matter what, you have to move through the tree to get, but at the same time, it's one that you absolutely need. Another 2 abilities that you absolutely need is Protected by the Anomaly to increase your armor bonus by 40% of your anomaly power. We're already going to have high anomaly, so bonus armor is always great, but also Skilled Sentry to increase armor by 20% and resistances by 20% for 10 seconds when our skill ends. We're constantly doing that with Impale and also our Earthquake, but especially if you're going to Reflect, you're going to instantly activate that and turn that off, so you're going to be able to always make sure Skilled Sentry is staying up and active for you. Definitely go into Bloodbath. We want people to die. You can go into Pure Anomaly and get essentially a total of 30% resistance piercing, but at a certain point, that's just not really necessary. You might as well just get this Bloodbath and get a little bit more damage out of it. And then speaking of damage, finally, Earth's Heritage, increase seismic skills base damage by 50%. Earthquake, Impale, both work off this. We absolutely need it. thank you so much for stopping by this video. Hope you guys really enjoyed it. Everyone's been asking for a budget build, so this one felt like the best option overall. I did a bunch of different expos to test it out, and it worked perfectly. I would say one of the biggest things about this, though, is the fact that the no timers has really helped out these budget builds, purely off the fact that we're not having to min-max as hard, or we don't feel like we're failing essentially because we can't min-max as hard. It gives just a lot of flexibility to you as a player and the character itself. So we really enjoy that. But what we also enjoy is checking out my Twitch channel over twitch.tv/Byrdman778. Make sure you're giving a thumbs up on this video and subscribing to the channel. And finally, check out my Twitter, twitter.com/Byrdman778. Guys, I hope you have a great night, day, whatever it may be.